Hey guys, I know it took a little while to get this going, but here is the answers to the frequently asked questions. Now, I'm not answering every single question, seeing as many of you asked the same one, but I kind of expected that. So, I was able to trim down the variety of questions, and assisting with that, and here to read the questions aloud is Div Jess Puddle.
Hello, I am Puddle. Yes, hello. Okay.
Fantastic. Let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so most of these have already been categorized so that they're in a kind of order. We'll start off with the personal ones and your opinions. The first one that you get is, why is Trask Nari your username?
That comes from the fact that Trask Nari was the name of an old D&D character I used. In fact, I still actually have a 4th edition conversion of that character, Trask Nari, the charismatic bastard of a rogue. And by charismatic bastard, I mean, it's not like he was like a ladies' man. He was just very good at lying. In fact, my 4th edition conversion of him, the very first thing I did was kill a few kobolds, take their spears and jab them into my armor, and then go into a tavern proclaiming that I'd fought a troll. Good name.
The second question you got here is, how old are you?
As of this very recording moment, I am 19-ish, 20-ish.
That works.
That's good.
What consoles do you own?
I own a PC which runs I run Windows, so I don't have the Mac issues. I'm very sorry, Puddle.
Shut up.
I have an Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, Wii and GameCube. I have a DS and a 3DS. And as far as older consoles go, I have a Genesis, Dreamcast, and an N64.
You have the Mac problems. Okay, have you ever been disappointed by something that E3 showed or didn't show? If so, then what?
I'm really not that, easy to disappoint when it comes to stuff like E3. If I get, at least 1 or 2 good things per, per section, I'll be happy. At least 1 game to look forward to, or at least 1 good gameplay video. I'm pretty easy to keep, satisfied when it comes to E3, but come on, Valve!
If I remember correctly, I was watching the last couple showings at E3 this year, and you were like, I'm not gonna watch them, I don't want to get depressed like everyone else.
Well, yeah, precisely. So all I do is I watch the things that make me happy. I'll just be over here, not being an Animal Crossing fan, I'm so sorry.
Shut up! What is this, take stabs at Puddle? Okay, next one, I'm gonna cut that off right there. What do you think about artsy games like Ebe?
I love them. They're a bit harder to do, Let's Plays of. I've done a few of them, but the problem is, it's kind of hard because a lot of them, there are ones that are very, very, I don't want to say whimsical, but kind of a little bit more carefree of a tone. I mean, you've got games that, like Bastion, like I said, whimsical doesn't work, but it's definitely more of an adventure sort of tone, and it is an artistic game in my opinion. But games like Ebe and games like, say, Limbo have a lot more darker of tones, so they're harder to
I'm still bitter about the way that you handled Yume Nikki, so...
And I still am dealing with the fact that you hate me for what I did to Yume Nikki.
I don't hate you, I'm just bitter about it.
But, to answer the question, I do love them, and I have played Ebe, and I have played Limbo, so... Yeah.
Do you prefer to let's play games blindly or not?
It really depends on the game I'm doing. Blind is really good for, games that are kind of quick to play, frustrating games.
The majority of your Let's Plays, right?
Flash games in general. Just quick games. Those are fun to do blind, but non-blind is good for, longer games, or, in particular, adventure games. I can't even fathom how long it would have taken to beat the Chzo Mythos series if I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, adventure games take a while, on their own, but if you're actually going through the process of actually trying to figure out what to rub, your various items on, it's like, alright, you have the umbrella and you stick it up the chimney. But if you don't know to stick it up the chimney, first you have to go through rubbing it against everything else in the house.
Point-and-click adventure games in a nutshell. Alright, the next one is, how do you feel about Touhou?
They're good games, but I suck. Please watch my Perfect Cherry Blossom video.
What games do you play the most or have marked you the most?
Team Fortress 2, I think, not only because I play it the most, like an unhealthy amount, I have played Team Fortress 2 for a almost disgusting 2,856 hours. And I really do think it marks a lot on how I, view gaming in general, especially when it comes to design, because it's just a very well-designed game in terms of balance. And before you bring up things like the flog, and yes, I'm getting to hats. We bring up things like flog, everything just meshes very well, and things like hats are very good incentive for people to not, just win, but keep playing the game. And the only other thing I could bring up is Bastion for a game that's marked, because I do take a lot of inspiration from the way Bastion handles story.
Do you have a type of game type preference?
Oddly enough, going against the two games I gave as examples of the games I play the most and games that mark me the most, RPGs. I am if the game has any kind of an open world or an exploration, or in particular games where I can build my own character, and play them how I want to actually have it change. You can run around in Grand Theft Auto and run people over with cars, not run people over. You play games differently, but it doesn't change. I think the best example I can think of is, if you're playing, let's say Skyrim, and you run around hitting a dude with an axe. If you play the whole game as a guy with an axe, chances are you're going to be better with an axe by the end of the game than someone who hadn't been using one. Your character changes the way you play them. I think Fable is probably the best example I can come with this, where you gain, at least in Fable's, Fable 1 and 2 had it where you gain XP based on the kind of combat you're doing, so you gain, strength XP if you're using melee weapons. So, by default, if you're using a lot of swords, chances are you're going to be getting a lot of strength XP, so you're going to be leveling up your character's strength. So a guy who's running around with an axe will end up looking like this, big tough guy, as opposed to a guy who's running around casting spells. And I like that. I like having the game reflect my input. And also, I really have a soft spot for fantasy stories.
That much I've gathered.
Yes.
Alright, how did you even get into video games?
When I was young, my dad had a Game Boy, like an original, what is it, monochrome? Is that the proper term? I guess it has two colors, even if one of them is, they're black and
yeah, that's just the Game Boy.
Old school Game Boy. My dad had one of those, and my half sister had a Sega Genesis. So that's how I got into gaming. Is I played those when I was a kid.
Who are some of your favorite Let's Players on YouTube?
I know they don't like to be called Let's Players, but the Game Grumps, I really like that series. WC10K was my big inspiration. I like the Merrick plays, and I guess Yami plays now with the Fallout video, rather, those videos, and Spoonie from Tigwatig.
Tig. What is your current profession or occupation, and what do you do with your free time?
I am currently a student. I'm a full-time student. I take maximum number of units in terms of classes, and I do a little bit of voice work on the side, but not a whole lot. Just occasionally do a little bit. And most of my free time is spent if during the school year, a lot of it is spent doing long-term projects and lots of coding. But especially during the summer, a lot of my just free time, video games. Team Fortress 2.
Video games. Your free time from playing video games is more video games.
Yes.
Well, you kind of answered this one already, but have you ever considered or done voice acting?
The only voice work I've done, other than just kind of messing around, is little tutorial videos for software, explaining how to install something, how to get stuff running, just basic stuff like that. I just record the voiceover for so like software tutorial videos. And again, I kind of do those freelance. I'm not I'm not like on a paycheck.
Drastic opposite from your improv let's playing.
Yeah. In fact, it's actually a little bit difficult at times just because I'm used to kind of, just saying whatever comes to mind. Sticking so tightly to a script can be a very drastic change and actually be a bit difficult. I have to kind of switch gears.
What is your favorite out of the Defoe series?
Troublous Notes. There's no question. That game handled the horror elements better. The choice of making it a text-based as opposed to, point and click. I very much prefer that genre to point and click. I really, there's something about, typing open door than just clicking on it. That, I like those kinds of games. Like, it makes me think of stuff like, Leisure Suit Larry and, all the old Sierra games, like the Quest series. It makes me think of those a little bit more than the point and click, and I really like that. But again, it just handled the setting much better. The atmosphere was brilliant in that game. It's definitely my favorite.
The next one is one that you've answered way too many times. Are you a brony?
No, I am not a brony. I watched the series all of, 1-2 times because you...
Don't say the series, you watched like 2 episodes.
Episodes, that's right. I've watched episodes from the series. I've watched 1 or 2 episodes at your request, and my reaction is the same as before. It's okay. I don't like it, but it's not like it's, shitty. My reaction to it is generally the same as if, you showed me a very good rapper. Yeah, it's talented. They put in good work. I wouldn't want to listen to it again, but... I can applaud it. I can recognize that it's good without enjoying it. Because I don't enjoy it.
What video series are you most proud of and why?
Run Man Race Around the World was probably the one I really liked how that one came out. But on the same note, I absolutely loved doing Jumper Griffin's story. Because...
completely different reasons.
I think that Run Man, I was able to really work on my comedic timing, that sort of thing. I think I, did a lot of good jokes in that. Whereas Jumper Griffin's story, it was a lot of fun doing a video with Killer Kid. Well, at the same time, that game was just so god awful that it has genuinely made an impact in terms of how I think of game design. Because that game could have been so good! It just blows my mind that you
okay? You okay? You okay, man?
Next question.
Okay. Well, this isn't much better, but, what's the least favorite Let's Play that you've done?
Reimagine the game. See, Jumper Griffin's story, I may have hated that game, but at least it was fun to record. Reimagine the game. That series wore out its goddamn welcome. The first game was clever and fun. The second one was annoying. The third one was so obnoxious. It was just... ugh! The jokes were terrible. It was one of those games that thinks it's hilarious. Because it's, making a bunch of pop culture references and internet jokes.
Yeah.
And, again, I harped on it a lot. They introduced a whole lot of new gameplay elements, jumping around, like platforming, without really changing the game engine.
Right.
You're still running around with that very simple jump thing, that very simple walking style. I'm not trying to compare it to Mario, but you play a game like this, you play a game like Mario, you see that platformers have a tendency, there's a kind of acceleration that you have in really good platformers, like Super Meat Boy, that kind of acceleration. Not like Super Meat Boy level speed that you need, but there's a feel that good platformers have, and it just completely lacked it, because they didn't change the game engine very much. They changed it enough to allow for those elements to exist, but not enough to make them work. But yeah, that series really wore out its welcome. By the time I got to the last... next question.
They just keep getting better, because what's the worst experience you've had while doing an LP?
Let's count the times I've lost footage. Either from getting interrupted in the middle of filming, or, more commonly, for whatever reason, the video file getting corrupt. Call of Cthulhu was probably the worst in this regard, because I would lose footage for that LP all the time, forcing me to, especially when the game started getting really difficult, forcing me to go back to the really hard sections and redo them. Like, the truck scene. I played through that a bunch of times, and at one point I actually beat it, but the video file failed to save properly, and I had to do it again. I just couldn't really. There's some. All right.
What do you think has changed the most about you over the last several years, be it about your Let's Plays or yourself in general?
I probably changed a lot of my comedic style and my timing. I think I've done a lot in terms of kind of getting a little bit more energy into my videos, as well as, again, working on comedic timing. I in fact recently rewatched some of my earlier videos, like my early videos, and it just kind of made me cringe at how slow I was to react to things and how many jokes I missed and things like that. And and it's not just like improving too, I've taken in so many different influences in the time since I've started. You can tell all of these different subtle changes in the way I joke, and again, my timing is very big. The way I tell my jokes, the way I deliver my punchlines. Again, it's not necessarily saying, oh, I've improved so much. It's just I have taken in so many different influences that it really has changed the way I deliver my jokes. Mm-hmm. And also far higher quality. You know, just recording-wise.
Yeah, and in some senses of the word.
I'm pretty sure it hasn't been anything considered quality.
Well, you're kind of missing the quantity part.
Hey, you want to know what's really fun? When you shut up! Next question.
What time zone do you live in?
Pacific Standard. I'm on... You asshole.
Keep it rolling, go on.
Alright, anyway, keep going.
Okay, are there any particular LPers or other YouTube personalities that you draw inspiration from? You kind of already answered this, but it's a little more specific.
Specifically, especially recently, JonTron is probably a big influence. I used to watch a bit of him, but I started watching a lot more of him in terms of his reviews, as well as, again, he started doing Game Grumps. And I think you can, a lot of that, a lot of his style, a lot of his delivery is really creeping into my jokes. You can definitely pick up on it. I'm aware of the fact that, like, after I'll tell a joke, I'm like, huh, I sounded kind of like JonTron there for a second. Welp.
Ops. What are your favorite TV shows?
I don't watch TV per se. Like, I don't actually sit down and turn on the TV, but I watch some stuff online. And right now, I like Gravity Falls, Adventure Time's pretty good, and Scrubs is a classic, and I would have to, you know, be drawn and quartered if it wasn't on this list.
This one, I did not add it. This was in the comments section. How did you and Div become friends?
Pretty long story. But, you know, the short version is she was one of my first really big fans, and we've been in contact for years ever since she, again, first started really following me a lot. And recently, in the past year, I just talked to her more and more, and we've been pretty much hanging out ever since. In fact, it's very rare that we're not, you know, in a Skype call or just hanging out. It's kind of the default speed.
Yeah, the call's usually going.
What is only 15 hours?
Where did my life go? What kind of music do you like to listen to?
In general, mostly metal and classic rock. But I do like other stuff, you know, it's a little bit, it doesn't really fit in those categories. The main ones I can think of are, you know, They Might Be Giants, Jonathan Colton, and Voltaire. I do like, in fact, Jess is the one that told me about Caravan Palace. I really like that because I know how to swing dance, and it's actually nice having at least one thing I can listen to that's actually like you can actually Charleston to without looking like a tool. You know, other than the general amount of Charlestoning makes you look like a tool by default.
It helps. All right, this one I like. I don't know why I put this one under opinions. I mean, it is an opinion, but favorite catchphrase of yours?
It never caught on, but I really like this. Oh, Stanley. Something about the delivery, but I have a little bit of a soft spot for progress! I never find a good place to use it!
I remember you and I having a conversation about that once. I was like, why don't you ever use progress more? You know, I love that. I just never get a chance.
There's never a really good spot where it appears. I'm not going to try to shoehorn it in, but...
It's gotta be natural.
It's gotta happen.
Ever thought that you'd get this many supporters?
Oh, where did you all come from?
What is your third favorite Michael Bay movie?
This was the hardest question to answer.
I wasn't even sure if you wanted me to keep it in the list.
No, it was a challenge. The first Bad Boys movie. I thought long and hard about this one.
What was the most frustrating game that you've ever played?
The most frustrating? Probably, you know, World's Hardest Game. Just because...
Fair enough.
Just because I remember in those videos, I really stopped. I mean, like, there's, you know, the mania, there's the kind of, like, the little panic sort of excitement. And that level of mania in my videos and my comic delivery. But I remember at one point, I just stopped having fun. It wasn't enjoyable anymore. In fact, recording, the only reason I kept playing was because if I stop playing, I'm going to lose my progress.
I remember I pissed you off tremendously back then.
Oh yeah, you did!
Yeah, I did.
You sound so fucking proud of yourself.
I am. I sent him a screenshot with the "you beat it" screen. Number of deaths, 113 only. I actually went to the first level, purposely died 113 times by just holding something on the right arrow and walked away. When I came back, I right-clicked forward until it got to the end of the game because he didn't know that you could right-click on the flash and hit forward to the end of the game to skip a level or to get back to your own place.
I'm used to games punishing you for trying to do that, or like, you know, like clicking forward and
trying in a separate window, you know.
I was too filled with despair.
Despair.
Right.
All right. What was your reaction when you found out that you were retsupraed?
Well, there was a the main one that I first knew of was the one done by Goth and Jock, and that one was actually pretty funny because they started out, you know, making fun of me as I was playing, but by the end they were cheering for me, and they actually messaged me afterwards and said, "We actually feel kind of bad for doing this video. We didn't actually you kind of seem like a cool guy."
Aww.
And they ended up taking down the video. It's not up anymore, but and the other one that you showed me,
that I had to actually look for.
Yeah, that was dumb.
It wasn't retsupraed though. It was just two kids.
It was just two kids. It wasn't retsupraed. I would know if it was retsupraed. I think I would, at least. I would have heard about that.
Yeah.
But
it had like no views or comments or anything.
That was dumb.
Yeah.
I didn't even feel, maybe pity.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's not like you're going to say their name or anything, but it's so easy to find.
Oh, yeah, you can find it. I only mentioned Goth and Jock because, again, they took the video down. They were very polite about it.
Yeah, they were a bigger name, too.
And they were really cool about it, too. But anyway.
What was the first video game that you had ever played?
I remembered this game before I remembered the name of it. I actually had to search Helicopter Game Boy to find it, but it was Desert Strike for the Game Boy, and I think you helped me remember.
Yeah, because I had the PlayStation version of it.
Desert Strike for the Game Boy, my dad's copy. First game I ever played. I remember that game. I remember the old school graphics on it, and I remember having so much fun.
Yeah.
I remember having so much fun on it. But yeah, Desert Strike for the Game Boy. It actually was a good game. I think. I haven't played it without the nostalgia on it.
I don't remember.
I remember it being fun, but I might just have been a stupid kid. That's a possibility.
What is your favorite video game of all time?
This one's actually really difficult. I think as far as game craftsmanship goes, I'd say Bastion, but I'd also have to put up there that is after some really hard, and that's just because that just comes out of personal preference in the end. Because I would also put that basically in the same tier as Shadow of the Colossus and BioShock as far as just being brilliantly crafted games. And I have to say my opinion of them has improved a lot since over the past year I actually did a lot of work with game design theory. And I actually wrote papers on Bastion, Shadow of the Colossus, and BioShock. Oh, and Hat Fortress Hat!
Hat Fortress! Where did you learn to play the guitar?
This actually isn't a really crazy story. There's just a place nearby that happened to give lessons. I bought a cheap guitar and started taking lessons from a really cool guy named Micah, who worked there. So.
And this is the last question of the personal opinion section. Who would be your favorite video game antagonist?
My favorite video game antagonist. I actually thought long and hard about this one, and if I have to say, just for many reasons, from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, Allied Master Computer.
It's a good choice.
Something about him is just so unsettling. He's just so twisted, and again, that game, very heavy in terms of symbolism in that game, very heavy in terms of themes of humanity, and Am just represents everything that's awful, and it's just all the different endings, and this was a really hard question. I actually had to think a long time about this beforehand.
Yeah, you did get back to me on this one.
Yeah, I needed time. I needed time to think about it. I was thinking about other, I do like Andrew Ryan. But again, I didn't know if he was technically an antagonist. I love Jack of Blades from the original Fable, but that's more for a personality. He doesn't really do a whole lot in Fable.
Right.
But when it came down to it, as far as if you just think antagonist, I'd have to say Am.
Alright, LP content. It starts off with, are you ever going to finish blank? You got a lot of questions for all sorts of Let's Plays that you haven't finished. So address them all.
Probably not, especially for the older ones. For each game I didn't finish, there was a reason that I put it on hiatus and a reason it hadn't been unfinished. For all the early SNES LPs, I lost all the save data and my ROMs. For Call of Cthulhu in particular and KOTOR, I got stuck. In KOTOR, I got stuck because I made the mistake of saving to end a section, to end a video, and I ended up trapping myself in a spot where I couldn't actually win the fight. And I think the only way I could actually proceed from that point, and I don't think I made a previous save, the only way I could proceed from that point would be to, cheat and open the dev console and do God mode just to end the fight. Because I specifically remember it was the fight in the hangar, not the it was the swoop garage. That fight, because there were a bunch of guys throwing grenades, and I just saved myself in a position where I couldn't win that fight.
Good job.
And Call of Cthulhu, that game just got so difficult. I kept losing footage. I just reached this wall where, again, it felt more like work, than having fun making videos.
Yeah, and it comes down to the point where it's well, you could delete the videos up there, but you want people to still enjoy them for what they are.
Of course, I mean, the Let's Play videos are still there. People still enjoy those jokes. I'm not going to take them down. I just admit that I probably won't finish them.
Right. Are you ever going to be doing D&D recaps again?
It's definitely a possibility. My current games, especially this summer, have been very heavily story and character driven, more than action. So it's not heroic, fighting up the stairs and stuff like that. You have a lot of people meeting with people and discussing things and making plans. You have a lot of people, formulating schemes and things like that, because my current game is the players are in a police state, ruled by an evil emperor, and they're trying to start a revolution. And while it's exciting for the players, it means that there is a lot of time of them going okay, well, we'll send these guys out to go scout this area, and meanwhile we'll head back and wait for the elf to come back, and we can debrief him. So possibly, I did speak to some of my friends up at school, and we probably will be playing D&D up there. And if it is something that would be good for a recap, I definitely might do that.
What games are you going to play and record in the future?
Silent Hill 2, if we can get that goddamn footage working.
Yeah, what did we just say about the corrupted footage problem?
We have an hour and 5 minutes of the beginning of Silent Hill 2, including the most irritating part of that game, which is the very beginning where you're just walking.
Yeah, the boring start.
The boring start, and we have like an hour and 5 minutes of that, and the footage is corrupted. Mm-hmm. I have downloaded so many video converters to try to hack at it. I've tried video editors, I've tried video,
You can't import it into anything.
Nothing works. And again, it's that beginning part of the game, which is really just... I don't want to say like
it'd be better off if we just redid it.
Yeah, so once we have that footage functioning, it will go up and we can continue doing Silent Hill 2, because both of us love that game, and I would love to replay it. I just don't want to replay that part. This is a maybe, but when it comes out, I might do Dishonored. I am going to get Dishonored, and I can record games off of my Xbox. I might do Dishonored when it comes out. I don't know. I would have to play it first and beat it to see if it's good LP
yeah, and I get to watch it before the rest of you.
Because you're a hacker.
Because I'm a hack.
It's because you're a hacker.
Because I get to watch and play it blindly and get frustrated. If someone makes a game and finishes it, they want to know if you could let's play it.
Maybe. I have gotten a lot of questions about this. I have done games requested by their creators before. Specifically, a good one I have in memory is Deepak Fights Robots. A copy of that game was gifted to me by the creator of the game, and I was asked to LP it. But I usually only LP games if I think that I can make good material with it, you know? Same thing with Dishonored. It's probably going to be a great game, but I don't know if it's going to be good LP material. If you send me a game that's like, you know, it's just kind of like let's say it's just a space shooter, it could be a fun game, it could be a great game, but I don't know if I can really do much with it as far as an LP goes. Bullet Hell is one thing, just, you know, but there's not a lot you can do with Gradius, you know?
Right. How long does it usually take for you to think of your jokes for the videos?
About as long as it takes for me to say them.
Improv.
The only times I really think about jokes beforehand are if I'm thinking of a joke while a character's talking, or if I am, you know, just like if I've played the game before, I'm like, oh god, I've got to make this joke at this point. So, but other than that, I really can't think of any reason why I would. I just kind of make jokes as I say them.
Why do you always say pancakes?
I have a problem. If people are asking for the origin of pancakes, it's from my Treasure Hunter Man LP. One of the characters just exclaims pancakes out of nowhere, and it was just so sporadic and nonsensical that the only thing I could think to say afterwards is, because that's where that way video ends, and he's like, we gotta go, pancakes! And my only thought is, thanks for watching, pancakes.
And it just stuck.
It stuck. But no, I have a problem, it's glandular.
Will you ever be using a face cam?
Nope.
Okay. Are the reactions and feelings from most of your videos real or played up?
Most of them are real, but they're exaggerated.
So played up.
Played up, but it's not like I, you know, pretend to be angry. If I'm getting frustrated, I usually am frustrated. Again, Futility and the World's Hardest Game. My reaction was pretty genuine in those. In fact, Futility, I remember getting really goddamn pissed off.
Whatever happened to your old update videos?
I removed them to clean up the channel. Most of them weren't relevant anymore. Mm-hmm. They were just me, you know, saying, hey, you know, this is happening. Well, that's not happening anymore, and having a bunch of old update videos is kind of cluttering the channel.
Alright, these ones are concerning Let's Play creation, so this is more of the hows instead of the whys. Mm-hmm. Alright, so what are your computer specs?
My motherboard failed a few months ago, so I had to get a new computer. But these are the specs for my new computer, which is an Alienware. It has it's an Intel i5. It's got CPU at 3 gigahertz. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, and it runs on 64-bit Windows 7. So
Windows 7.
Windows 7,
Ooh.
and the graphics card is NVIDIA. I can't remember the specific type, but I do use NVIDIA, not Radeon or.
How do you record videos on consoles?
I've gotten this a few times. I have a Pinnacle, which is primarily used to record off of, like, to get footage off camcorders and stuff. Basically, you just plug in anything with a video out into it, and then plug it into the computer, and you can record. It basically just displays it on the computer. You record it with that. I have that hooked up to my Xbox and my computer. It records the video straight to it, so I can actually just sit and stare at my computer, and I can see the game, so I don't have to look at my TV. The audio actually comes from my TV because the Pinnacle doesn't work properly with the audio from the Xbox. So I turn up my TV volume, and since I use a stand microphone, it picks up the audio behind me.
I have a world of comments for that, but I'm going to keep them to myself.
Yes, you will.
Yep. What do you use to edit your
Editing! I either crunch them down with Miro or Jess edits them.
Yeah.
I usually, if I have any issues, I just make sad faces and throw the file at Jess until she makes it better.
And I edit them in Final Cut Pro or just ScreenFlow if I don't feel like opening up Final Cut. Next one is, what price range do you recommend on purchasing recording equipment?
It really depends. You can get some good stuff for like $50 if you shop around. This is talking about like a microphone. But my own personal mic costs about $100, but you can get something workable for like $50. Heck, I think my first mic, the ones with my early videos, was like $20. Like $15-20, something like that. You don't have to spend a fortune to get something that works. But if you want something that sounds really good, that doesn't have a lot of background noise, static, things like that, you're gonna have to pay around $50 or more. So, and like my Pinnacle thing I used to record off my Xbox, that was about $100. I don't know how much other capture cards go for. Do you have a capture card? Do you know how much those go for? Usually,
the one I'm trying to get right now is about $200.
Yeah, so those can be a little bit pricier. Like I said, the Pinnacle device I use doesn't cost quite that much. And again, my early videos, those were recorded with free software and a $20 microphone, so you don't need to spend like $200 to start recording. Generally, if you find a niche you want to stick with, like you find you want to keep making videos, then you can buy more expensive equipment. But
what microphone do you use?
It is a Blue Snowball stand microphone.
How do you reduce lag?
Close anything other than the game or the recording software, change around the graphic settings, switch it to windowed mode. In fact, switching it to windowed mode is
that does a lot more than you'd expect.
That should probably be a given, especially if you're recording.
You should never be trying to record in full screen with any game.
It really isn't recommended. I would say make sure it's windowed, change around the graphic settings and the resolution. Change around the settings of what you're recording, make sure that the issue isn't with like if there's lag in the recording but not when you're actually playing. Make sure you check the settings on your recording software, because I remember I would have a lot of desync before I found out there was a problem with my recording software. I needed to change some of the settings. If you're using Cam Studio, make sure MCI recording is checked, because otherwise it'll desync. But as far as just lag goes, it basically just make sure you free up as much RAM as possible. Close shit down. If you don't need Firefox running in the background, don't have Firefox running in the background.
How long does it take to make a video, including editing?
I'm really bad about editing. There are sometimes I'll just toss the goddamn raw.
Sometimes. The majority of the time.
So my answer is the length of the video.
Don't you have like a 5-minute video of a spinning dog with no audio?
I will have have you know, I put that in Miro because the original file was like 17 gigabytes.
No, I'm looking right now. Uploads only. Doggy Spin is 5 minutes, no audio. Chicken Y is 139, no audio. You have no excuses, good sir.
Those videos were like 4 gigabytes for Chicken Y and 17 for Doggy Spin.
Oh my god. Get out.
So don't you have an answer for how long it takes you to edit something?
Yeah, about 3 times the length of the video's raw recording. Because I rewatch the videos while I edit them to make sure I don't miss shit, and then I still miss shit. 5 questions about specifically TF2, because you got a lot of TF2 based questions.
I'm okay with that.
Alright, so we'll start off with, would you be willing to play on a server with your fans?
I usually play on the Bad at Things TF2 server. It's Jess is primarily the one that runs it. You can find the, I'm a member of the group.
Bad at Things.
The Bad at Things, the public group. You can find the server IP there, and you can always just hop on, have fun. If I'm online, I'm very likely there. But no, if you guys want to play TF2 with me, you are more than welcome to join.
Do you play TF2 regularly or just occasionally?
All hats, every day, all day!
Every single day you play TF2. If you have a computer near you, you play TF2 at some point.
Sometimes on 2 computers at once.
Yeah, you've done that. People ask if you could do some more TF2 gameplay. I'm not sure if that means with commentary or not, though.
I can try to record replays of any good footage and maybe try to do specific interesting stuff. I don't know if you guys, again, mean with commentary or not. Usually I don't, talk about the game much when I'm playing, unless, I'll do, I don't usually comment, oh, this is what I'm doing. My only comments would usually be, either talking about irrelevant things or in MVM yelling at people for not doing things properly, and then apologizing for playing Scout.
I'm getting a new computer here soon, and when I do, I'm hoping maybe, if you guys are interested, because I've gotten comments asking about it, if Trask, me, and some other people in our little group of TF2ers play some MVM, maybe even Man Up, record it, see if you guys would be interested in that with commentary.
Mm-hmm. So who wants to watch an 11-hour video?
That happened one time, okay? Okay.
My just gonna put it out there. Play Boot Camp before you play Man Up.
Yeah, don't just jump into Man Up for the first time and collect all the money. Don't play Man Up and miss any money.
I regret everything I've ever done.
Favorite and least favorite class to play?
Favorite has to be Spy. There's just so much finesse with that class. There's so many different things you can do, and it's just so, I don't know, just so much fun to kind of have the kind of push and pull of, killing the enemy team, messing with them, but then retreating and falling back when they start, spy checking, because then you just let them spy check, so they're using less resources on the actual game. Mm-hmm. There's just so much fun to be had in that class. And on the same note, my least favorite is Heavy. Now, that is not to say I hate Heavy, but he's so boring to play.
Yeah, I can
so boring. It's just, I'm not doubting the importance of having a Heavy. Heavies are really useful, especially on, now that MVM is a thing.
Mm-hmm. You need a Heavy.
He can just be so boring sometimes, though. And in fact, I actually prefer to play Fat Scout, which is heavy with focusing on using the shotgun and not the minigun. Yeah. That's a lot more fun for me. So as far as
more to experiment with.
Least favorite class to play would definitely be Heavy.
Yeah. And the final question that you have is, how did you get your first unusual? And I'll chalk on to the end of that. Explain your process with the rest of your unusuals, because this is entertaining to me.
I unboxed my Purple Confetti Frenchman's Beret, which I recently named Rene de Carnage, over a year ago, back in, I think, May of last year. And I've been wearing that on my Spy ever since. You want me to explain how I got all my other unusual hats?
Yeah, toss it in.
Okay, well, funnily enough, most of them are really recent acquisitions because most of them were traded up. I unboxed a Blizzardy Dragonborn helmet and I traded for a bunch of other hats, and basically traded my way up to a team captain with steaming, which is my dream hat, and the hat I currently wear on heavy, medic, and soldier. And also, I had traded all of the Ghost Recon items, because I got Ghost Recon for a secret diary, and this makes me feel like a bit of a bastard, but I did not rip anyone off. All of these trades were on their terms. Putting it out there. I traded them for a secret diary because someone wanted to trade a secret diary. Someone bought the secret diary for like a big chief with Stormy or something crazy like that. I traded that around until I finally got my current Demo Man hat, which is the gibbous with ghosts. Mm-hmm. And by gibbous, I mean that Scotsman Stovepipe. Come on, let's be honest, it's the gibbous. Mm-hmm. So I have the ghostliest gibbous. And then from E3, I didn't go to E3, but I purchased online from someone that did a sandwich. One of the like, I think there were like 200 of them made.
Yeah.
The collector's edition sandwich for the event at Comic-Con. I got one of those, and it came with a genuine, not a genuine sandwich. In fact, no one fucking knows what it is. It's just it's called What Is in the Sandwich Box. And someone bought that from me for, I shit you not, 7.5 buds.
Wow.
So I made back the money I spent on the sandwich over twice as much.
Wow.
And I still got to keep the sandwich. And I basically, I said, okay, I have this much money. Mm-hmm. I divvied it up specifically so I could get, I said like, okay, I'm gonna spend 2 buds getting purple energy on a sniper hat. I don't care what hat it is, I want a purple energy sniper hat. Mm-hmm. So I got my professional's Panama for 2 buds. I set aside 2 more buds, and I was like, okay. So now I am going to spend this on a scout hat. So it's like 2 buds. I'm going to get a scout hat. I'm going to make it a nice scout hat with nuts and bolts. So I got my backwards ball cap with nuts and bolts, which I have since renamed I'm So Fresh. I set aside
Very clever name, by the way.
Thank you. I set aside 2 more buds, and I said, I am going to get a bad pyro hat, like a pyro hat that most people consider to be really bad, with Scorching Flames, the green flames effect. So I spent 2 buds on my green flame boot, which deals on hit 1d100 plus int modifier fire damage. Target is on fire, save ends. And I had left me with, I spent like the 0.5 in terms of keys on just various other items. And I had 1 bud left over, and all I wanted for my Angie, I have been talking about this for a long time, the only hat I ever wanted, I wanted an unusual Western wear with smoking effect that I could name the smoking gun. That's all I wanted. No hat, no other effect, just that one. So I purchased that, and I now have an unusual on every
Didn't you way overpay for that?
I didn't way overpay, but I had to throw in a fuck ton of sweets because the guy was an asshole.
So you overpaid.
Yes. And so that's the story of my unusuals. And if you have another Scorching Flames Pyro hat and want to swap it for my Scorching Flames Pyro hat, we could swap it 1 for 1. And the only other thing where I'm saying in terms of trading up or anything I would do, I would say, like, if you want to trade a combination of my items for an all-class hat, like a Modest Pile or something, I might think about doing that, because I want every one of my classes to have an unusual on their head. That was my dream when I found out about unusual hats. I wanted to get into trading. I wanted a steaming captain, and I wanted every one of my classes to have an unusual. I'm fucking cool.
Anyway, we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. It was really. I'm really glad I did this. It was good to be able to answer your guys' questions and
talk about hats
and talk about lots of hats. But thank you guys for asking, and we'll see if we can get that Silent Hill footage working.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
We'll see you guys later.